Small interactions can lead to really big collaborations and partnerships.
I would also say the other thing that's really hard not to do these days is to put the phone away.
Because it's so true. Like, we're by ourselves. We just like constantly have our phone, and we're just like missing opportunities for interaction.
So when you're talking to somebody, instead of asking them a closed-ended question that would require a yes or a no, start asking some of those questions that will just prompt a little bit more interaction, and you might be surprised by the way that that conversation goes. Welcome back, all you successful hairstylists, to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I am your host, Ambrosia Carey. Today, we're going to be talking about something related to our industry, but I think just in general, networking with other beauty pros in the industry in general. Some of us have a hard time with it, so we've got some tips to kind of help you when you're in the room with others. And I also want to say, thank you for an amazing season. This is the end of season 4 for us. This is our very last episode. And we are just about to start our Successful Hairstylist group coaching with all of our amazing coaches over here at Successful Stylist. So this is a really great way for you to set up some new goals and to revisit your old goals with all of us here to help you. I will leave that link in the show notes. We're hanging out with Drea. So Drea, I would love to hear from you. How do you network? I know that you are so charismatic and you have an easy enough time with it, but we've had conversations about this in the past, and I was surprised to find that this wasn't a natural thing for you and you had to learn along the way. So share and spill the tea, girl. I think we're saying spill the beans now. I don't know. The tea, the beans,
Okay.
something.
Just spill all the things. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. So I do love people, but I like to consider myself kind of a situational introvert or a situational extrovert, like however you want to say it. So there's definitely a learning curve there for me. You know, things get kind of triggered, and you got to work through them. You got to work past them. And what a great way to network with other beauty professionals by joining a group coaching. I mean, that's a great way.
Boom.
Number one.
Yeah, number one and all.
Yes. And I would say before, I have to say this before you take any of the recommendations that we are about to give you. Number one is, before you go to network, just check in with yourself. Be able to be you, because you're awesome, and be genuine, use your voice, show up as yourself and not how you think somebody else wants to hear you or see you. That is going to always have the best impact for longevity. And you're going to, not everyone's going to be everyone's cup of tea. Here we are back at tea again. But, just, it's okay that you're not going to align with everyone, because when you are showing up authentically, you're definitely going to align, with the right people. And I don't mean that to leave anyone out or not be inclusive, but I think, that comparison game, us being perfectionists, that can come into play. So I just want to say, check in with yourself before you reach out. I like to have some quiet time, some prayer, some meditation before I'm going to reach out to someone, before I'm going to take a class, before I'm going to work a show, before I go into a photo shoot, because I need to remember who I am when I'm surrounded with so many other amazing powerhouse creatives. And that's okay. And it's all right to realize that and to go through that process. So that is my number one before my number one. And then I'm going to just state the obvious: events, education. I mean, those are great ways to network with other beauty professionals. Shows, I think, are an easy one. I think award shows are super, super fun, and everyone's really casual and they're excited to be there. And so that's a fun one. But aside from those, I think sometimes you go with people and then you hang out with the people that you go with, and you're just a little in your norm. You're like just a little bit doing your regular thing. We talked about this.
Yeah.
So I want to say education, and specifically hands-on education. If you can get into a 2-day hands-on, you're hanging out with these because hands-on is going to be a smaller group, first of all. So you're going to be locked in with a good group, but a smaller group of people that you are being vulnerable. You're doing hair, you're maybe doing a new skill set, something like that. You guys are talking. So you have the opportunity over like a 2 or 3 day period to get to know these people on a closer level than you would if you were just, walking around through a hair show or something. And the second thing, I want to challenge you to go by yourself. Don't go with a friend. Don't go with your buddy from the salon. Go by yourself. I promise you it will build your character. One, you will have a completely different experience. It will push you to make friends, to have conversation. And sometimes there's like little social media groups that you kind of get into before the class happens or whatever. If they have those and you can say, I'm going solo, like who else is going solo? Maybe we can do a little dinner night or a cocktail hour to get to know each other the night before the event if people get in, or, just really go out of your way to make those contacts and those connections. So I think that'd be my first suggestion.
That was on my number one too. I think there's something to be said about attending smaller, intimate classes or workshops. You are going to make connections with people a lot easier than if you're going to a big show, which can feel very overwhelming. Everyone has their ulterior motives. And of course, if people do come in groups, that can be really intimidating and they are focused on their own thing. It's not like they're ignoring you. They're just kind of like so wrapped up in what they're doing. Um, I would also say the other thing that's really hard not to do these days is to put the phone away because it's easy to look down and check through things. It can be a little bit of a security blanket when we're not really sure what to do, but it sends the message that you're busy, and it's also going to close you off to seeing the world outside of you. So if you're going to be there, then be really present. And try to just stay off your phone as much as you possibly can. Interact with other people, smile, give them some eye contact, let them know that you're actually open to having a conversation or hanging out. And I really like what Drea said. This is what I do every time I'm going to go somewhere. I announce it a couple times on my stories and I say, I'm excited to go to XYZ. And I'll ask other people if they plan on attending. And if I know that they're going to be there, then I'll DM them and say, like, hey, let's meet up. Let's have a coffee together. Let's, this, that, and the other. I mean, that's the best way to be able to connect with people, especially if you don't live in the same state or area. And knowing that you're going to be there, especially if you've built a relationship with someone, a lot of my closest friends that I've gotten to know through Instagram started in Instagram. And then when we actually went to a show together, then we got to collaborate or see each other or meet there. The other piece of it is when you are going to an event, try to show up a little bit earlier because the people who kind of start to trickle in before they've had a couple of drinks, before they've been socializing, before they've when things are fresh, when you first walk into the room and everyone's kind of a little nervous, it's like people are a little scattered, they're a little unsure. It's such a great time to make a soft introduction, meet people, make a connection. It's also when people kind of have their phones out and they want to start following you or each other. That way you can follow up with a conversation you may have had. And it's a little bit quieter than two. It's not quite as congested. So instead of showing up like a fashionably late, like an hour later, try to show up on time or a little bit earlier too. And it's a really great way to meet other people. So try that out. I got a couple other things up my sleeve, but I'm going to pass it back to you, Drea.
Yeah, good ones. I am definitely into it. There was like some meme. I don't know. I'm not like, I like really dry sense of like humor. So not too many things I like crack up at. And there was one because the whole like phone thing. And it was like, I saw this person like sitting in the coffee shop and they like didn't have their phone out or a book or anything. And they were just like sitting there by themselves, like enjoying their cup of coffee, like a complete psychopath, And I just like, I don't know, like it was just because it's so true. Like we're by ourselves, we just like constantly have our phone and we're just like missing opportunities for interaction like
Yeah.
constantly. So I love that you said that for sure. Next on my list is social media forums and groups. And I mean like actually asking to get added into a group because most of the time these are going to be smaller, they're going to be private. There's usually a specific purpose or purposes around them. And a lot of them do revolve around support and community. So Facebook is actually really great for this. So getting into those groups, and here's the thing, not just like seeing what people have to say and like, not posting and taking a peek and, putting on our like little judgmental pants sometimes to see what other people are up to, but really being interactive, like being vulnerable, sharing on there, asking questions, being like that person that's like cheering other people on, or answering the questions that we actually know the answers to, because through doing that we're actually going to connect with people, kind of find our people within those forums and groups. And then I would say, to take it to the next step further, like Ambrosia mentioned, if she's going somewhere, she's like, hey, who else is going? You can certainly like ask if you're going to a show or an event in that group, who's going, setting up a personal, meetup with them, and getting to be like not just an online friend, but like a real in-person friend at that point. And even asking whether they're in your local area, or you guys all want to like drive somewhere or meet somewhere. Maybe 3 of you really connected, or 5 of you, and you can take the lead to set up maybe a future meetup or a collaboration like within that following year. So I think that you can kind of interact just within the group and you're connecting for sure, or you can even kind of take it to that next level, depending on who you're interacting with and how that's looking.
And that interaction piece, like make sure that you're asking open-ended questions and kind of making it about them, complimenting their work and being genuine about it. I think sometimes it's really easy for us to think like, well, what am I going to get out of this? Or I'm never going to see you again. Or I don't know, just like very surface level conversations too, which is okay. Like there's a time and place for it. But I do think, going a little bit further into that, like there is a potential for you to collaborate with other people in the future, which also kind of like gives you more opportunity and it lets you stretch yourself. And it also, like, whenever you get bored, having collaborations is some way to like reignite that. So when you're talking to somebody, instead of asking them a closed-ended question that would require a yes or a no, start asking some of those questions that will just prompt a little bit more interaction. And you might be surprised by the way that that conversation goes. We all have a
I like
history and
that.
past, like, I like even into this, like when I was talking to Drea before, we met through a brand. Like we were working for this brand, we were roomies together, so that was really easy. But, we started to talk about things that were relatable to one another. Like she's a mom, I'm a mom. We were young moms, as a matter of fact, single moms. So that was something that we were able to kind of really connect on. And then, of course, our history with education and teaching, the things that we love, there's a lot of things that we found that we had in common, but then there were also things that we found that were complementary to one another, what she specializes in versus what I specialize in. And then that's kind of where the conversation, it wasn't when we first met that we talked about collaborating, but it was more like later on in the game. And I don't remember exactly how this came about, but I think we were just like having light conversation on Instagram. And then, we exchanged numbers. We were able to talk to one another. I want to say like right before the shutdown, that's when I think it was your idea, Drea, when you're like, I think we just need to go on tour. And I think you were like more or less kind of joking, but then I was like, well, why shouldn't we? And then we're like, well, maybe we should do it. Should we ask Olivia Garden if they'd be open to it? And so that's kind of where that came about. At least that's the way I'm recollecting it. So, and now here we are, like part of SSA, you're doing this podcast with me. Like like look at how close we are. People even ask me like, well, is Drea a part of the owner of the Successful Stylist Academy? Like that's how aligned you and I are, is that people, they think, okay, they know that you're a part of the team. And that is awesome. Like that makes things so much easier when you can align yourself with the right people. That's why networking is so big, because the salon that you enter today or the salon that you're working in today may not be the salon that you're in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And if you are just keeping it all in your little bubble, then it's like, that's kind of scary to take that next step to move forward or to like expand. So if you are constantly networking, it will offer opportunities to you that you may never know. Just like, I could keep going on tangents about this, of course. I'm going to go into my next topic really quick. So next, I would say I mean, I already went into the collaboration portion of it, but I think collaborating a little bit further, even collaborate within your own community. So even though we're talking about meeting other beauty pros and stuff, if you collaborate within your own community, sometimes creating a space to actually do that offers that for the future to bring others in with you. So if you have always wanted to do a photo shoot, for instance, you've never really done a official photo shoot, connect with people in your area and then post about that, put it on your stories, ask other people who else is interested in doing this or who has done this. That may invite other people like, "Oh my gosh, what you are interested in, start putting that out there and it's like you're planting those seeds in order for that to grow and for it to like develop and stuff like that. And then I think the last part I want to go on into is attending or like going to some networking events. Like there are other networking events that are not actual hair shows and they're not necessarily workshops, right? There are retreats, there are gatherings. We had our Successful Stylist Academy social, for instance. And even though that wasn't technically a workshop and it wasn't technically a hair show, it was a social for everyone to get together for that very purpose. But we were also learning together. We had workshops within it and it was small. So everyone got to know one another and they were exchanging phone numbers and they became good friends. They even like attended some of our group coaching afterwards. So that is a really great way to make sure that you are right for one another, but it's also a great way to learn a skill set together. So I would say networking events, look out for those and just see what else is coming up outside of the really big hair shows, outside of the workshops in the class, outside of just learning a skill set, but it's also like an opportunity for you to really network. So try that out too.
I kept thinking, like, when you were, like, telling our story a little bit, I was like, "And just look at us. Would you just look at us now?" Like, I didn't really think about, like, it's a perfect example of just, like, how things get started and where things can go, and, I love it. So I'm really glad that you shared that and that, yeah, I didn't put that together, so that was awesome. But it's really true. I mean, small interactions can lead to really big collaborations and partnerships, and that's an awesome thing to think about, like when you're interacting with people and why you're going to put yourself out there in the first place, even if you are having a little bit of that situational introvert, coming out of you, or trying to take control. So um, yeah, my last one kind of goes along with a little bit about what you said, and it's really just reach out personally, and personally locally, or personally anywhere, because now the world is a very small place and nothing and no one is really out of reach in some ways. So, having a little community social event at your salon, or asking your owner if maybe you can help host one, I think would be awesome. You can certainly invite other salons. Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't, but just anyone in the community, or in the creative community, or independent small businesses, I think is really great. You could just have drinks, you could have music, and you can almost just introduce why the purpose is behind the event. Have like a little microphone or something cute, a little backdrop for, your selfie wall, and have almost like an open mic part where whoever is there from any business can come up and just say what their business is, something about themselves, and what might be coming up, and how you can like be a part of it, or how you can follow them. And it gives everyone the opportunity to get to know each other, to network, and to be seen and heard within the community. So I think that would be just a really cool event to host locally. And then also, as we're looking at people that were like, wow, that's amazing what they're doing. Wow, that hair, that photo shoot, that, reach out to people, give them a genuine compliment. Let them know that you are a fan. I think that that is okay. A fan and a stalker are very different things. So the fan is in the good place. And also, maybe offer your services, like, let them know, "I'm not sure if you're ever shorthanded, but I would love to, just come out and offer my services to be a part of what you're doing, because that's how much I'm inspired by you." And I think that just creates another opportunity. It has for me. I've done that for people before, had the opportunity to work on photo shoots, and then eventually, like, I am getting requested, I am getting paid, I am going into bigger photo shoots to work. So the worst that can happen is they don't get back to you or they say no. And I think that we just have to get to a place where we can handle that and ask the next person and create interaction and opportunity for ourselves and for other people for collaboration. So I love that. I love the collaboration piece. Definitely. So I think you guys, this is our last episode of this
Yes.
season. So crazy. Um, and those of you who have been kind of listening, following us along the way, a big thank you. And with that thank you, we're kind of dialing in exactly what next season is going to look like. And really, this is not about us, this is about you. So if you want to give us some of your feedback and thoughts, like what was your favorite season? What did you like? What do you want to see more of? Like, what do you want to see less of? Like, whatever it is, we're here for it. So let us know what that looks like, and be sure to kind of peek at like little teasers for next season. And yeah, thanks for your time, thanks for your energy, and we love doing this. We love hearing from you and being part of like the growth for individualism and for our industry. So we're going to leave you where we always do, dreaming big, setting goals, and taking action. And we'll see you next season, but we will certainly see you in the meantime. Check out the show notes and the link to get more information on our upcoming group coaching. And we'll see you soon.